Chosen one, they came for you, thinking their digital daggers could pierce your armor. A former friend, someone who once basked in your light, turned predator, unleashing their venom across screens and platforms, desperate to diminish what they could never possess. But look at them now, silent, erased, gone. Their entire campaign of lies deleted, their audience scattered, their credibility shattered beyond repair. This is no coincidence. This is no stroke of luck. This is the immutable law that protects those marked for higher purpose. When ordinary souls attempt to drag down the chosen ones, the universe itself rises in defense. What you witnessed wasn't simply karma, it was cosmic confirmation of your position in the grand design. The public shame that engulfed your attacker wasn't random, it was inevitable. It was written. Every screenshot they posted, every lie they crafted, every follower they tried to turn against you, all of it boomeranged back with devastating precision. They never understood a fundamental truth. Those selected to carry light will always be protected when darkness conspires against them. Now they hide in shadows, having learned too late the price of targeting one who walks with unseen guardians. Their silence speaks volumes. Their retreat confirms everything, and you stand, vindicated and strengthened, ready to continue the journey they tried so desperately to interrupt. The betrayal you experienced followed ancient patterns, recognizable throughout history to those with eyes to see. First came their excessive admiration, borderline worship that should have triggered your warning systems. They studied you, mirrored. You positioned themselves as your most loyal supporter. This wasn't friendship. This was reconnaissance. Watch for these signs in the future. Their hunger to know your methods without equal hunger to develop their own integrity. Their quick adoption of your language, your perspectives, your connections. The subtle probing. The vulnerabilities disguised as intimate conversation. The peculiar focus on your perceived flaws rather than your evident strengths. The betrayal you experienced followed ancient patterns, recognizable throughout history to those with eyes to see. First came their excessive admiration, borderline worship that should have triggered your warning systems. They studied you, mirrored. You positioned themselves as your most loyal supporter. This wasn't friendship. This was reconnaissance. Watch for these signs in the future, their hunger to know your methods without equal hunger to develop their own integrity, their quick adoption of your language, your perspectives, your connections, the subtle probing, the vulnerabilities disguised as intimate conversation, the peculiar focus on your perceived flaws rather than your evident strengths. Their transformation from ally to enemy accelerated precisely when your influence expanded. This timing was deliberate. Attacks against the chosen intensify during periods of ascension because darkness must challenge light before it grows beyond containment. Their betrayal wasn't personal, it was strategic. A desperate attempt to derail your momentum before you reached unstoppable velocity. Those closest to your power center are always prime candidates for betrayal. They've witnessed your humanity, your moments of uncertainty, your private struggles. They mistake these glimpses of your journey for evidence that you're unworthy of your calling. They fail to understand that chosen ones aren't perfect, they're purposeful. Your former friend weaponized their proximity, thinking insider knowledge would lend credibility to their attacks. Instead, it exposed the pettiness of their perspective. The arena they chose reveals everything about their true character. Social platforms offer the perfect illusion of power to the powerless, the ability to craft narratives without the courage real confrontation demands. They launched their campaign with calculated timing, releasing their poison when they believed you were most vulnerable, most distracted by your actual work. Their arsenal was predictable. Out-of-context screenshots, twisted interpretations of your words, emotional appeals, designed to trigger mob mentality. They created the illusion of widespread dissatisfaction by amplifying a handful of voices, manufacturing consensus where none existed. These are the desperate tactics of those who cannot create their own light, so they attempt to extinguish others. Remember this: the digital realm holds a unique power for the chosen ones. While attackers see only the surface, likes, shares, comments, you perceive the underlying currents of energy. Your detractor never realized they were fighting on your territory, not theirs. The very platforms they weaponized against you are designed to amplify truth over time, to elevate substance over sensation. Their temporary surge of attention was merely the universe gathering witnesses for their inevitable downfall. While you continued building, teaching, leading, they devoted their entire existence to destruction. This fundamental difference separated you in the public's perception more effectively than any defense you could have mounted. While they posted paragraph after paragraph of increasingly frantic accusations, you remained focused on your mission. This contrast spoke volumes to those watching silently from the sidelines. The digital realm may seem intangible, but it operates under the same spiritual laws as physical space. Energy projected returns multiplied. Your former friend overlooked this universal principle, foolishly believing their attacks existed in some consequence-free dimension. They learned otherwise when their own words became evidence against them in the court of public opinion. What your attacker never calculated was the discernment of the collective. They assumed audiences were easily manipulated, ready to turn against you based on carefully curated fragments of truth mixed with deliberate deception. This fatal miscalculation stemmed from their own lower consciousness. They judged others' perceptions by the limitations of their own. Beneath the visible metrics of likes and comments, a deeper evaluation was taking place. Watching eyes compared your consistent track record against their sudden, frenzied accusations. Listening ears noted the desperation in their tone, contrasted with your measured silence. Something primal within human consciousness recognizes authentic power, distinguishing it from the brittle facade of those grasping for relevance. The observer's collective judgment forms an unbreakable shield around the chosen ones. While your detractors saw only isolated individuals to manipulate, you understood the group. Mind operates as a singular intelligence with remarkable immunity to sustained deception. This is why attacks against the truly chosen always fail. The audience itself becomes an extension of cosmic protection, an immune system identifying and neutralizing threats to authentic leadership. Your attacker never faced just you. They faced the awakened discernment of thousands simultaneously. The turning point arrived with supernatural timing. One inconsistency too many, one overreach too far. One transparent attempt to elevate themselves through your downfall. The collective consciousness shifted like a massive tide, invisible until its overwhelming force became undeniable. Those initially swayed by emotional appeals began questioning motives. Those who amplified attacks fell silent, sensing the shifting winds. This awakening wasn't orchestrated by human hands. Higher forces ensure truth eventually surfaces through the most carefully constructed deceptions. Your former friend found themselves increasingly isolated, their support account dwindling as the natural order reasserted itself. What they intended as your public execution became their own. Look, you already know the game is rigged. And if you're paying attention, you know the walls are closing in. So let's talk about what we're doing about it, when you live by the day at the market's command. Where profit and property rule the land, to be heard, to be held, to be dealt a fair hand. These are the things that a people demand. And we hear you. The obsidian inner order has paywalls, yes. Those who stand with us, who fuel this mission, they give us ammunition to fight the archons, to push back against the machine, to go deeper, to uncover more. And as our thank you, paid members get access to a 1-hour live, personalized weekly group tarot reading, guidance, insight, and clarity for the road ahead. But kicking a man for being down on the floor, that's something we cannot ignore. That's why, starting today, you can steal the Astral Atom exclusive daily newsletter for free. No paywall, no catch. Just join the Patreon free tier, link in the description. This is the start of our conversation with you, and it's bi-directional. You can reply to any email we send you. We'll read it, we'll hear you, and we'll do our best to get an answer to you from the universe itself. If you can support, we need you. If you can't, take what's free. The Obsidian Inner Order is open. Now, let's get back to work. Notice how you never needed to orchestrate their downfall. You didn't coordinate counterattacks. You didn't rally your supporters to bombard them with equal venom. Such tactics belong to those operating from fear rather than faith. You understood, perhaps instinctively, that intervention would only interfere with the perfect justice already in motion. The mechanics of their destruction followed precise spiritual laws. First came the increasing desperation in their tone as initial attacks failed to generate their intended impact. Then the escalation, more extreme claims, more personal revelations, more frantic energy betraying their true motivation. With each overreach, their credibility eroded. With each exposed contradiction, their audience questioned everything they'd previously accepted. The timing of their collapse wasn't random. It arrived exactly when the maximum number of witnesses could absorb its lesson. Their public shame scaled in perfect proportion to their transgression against you. This mathematical precision reveals the intelligent design behind what superficially appeared as social media drama. Cosmic forces calculate retribution with flawless accuracy that human systems of justice cannot match. You recognize this unfolding pattern because you've seen it before. Throughout your journey, those who've positioned themselves against your purpose have encountered similar fates, not because you wished it upon them, but because they placed themselves in opposition to forces far beyond human manipulation. The moment they began deleting their attacks marked their final surrender to inevitable truth. Each removed post, each deleted account, each retracted statement represented their ultimate acknowledgement of failure. They didn't just lose a battle of narratives. They lost their entire position in the war for relevance. This digital erasure carries profound symbolic weight. In ancient times, the names of those who betrayed sacred trusts were literally chiseled from stone monuments, removed from history itself. Today's equivalent is the desperate attempt to scrub one's digital footprint when it becomes evidence of poor judgment and malicious intent. Your former friend attempted this modern form of self-erasure, hoping memory would fade as quickly as their content disappeared. The moment they began deleting their attacks marked their final surrender to inevitable truth. Each removed post, each deleted account, each retracted statement represented their ultimate acknowledgement of failure. They didn't just lose a battle of narratives. They lost their entire position in the war for relevance. This digital erasure carries profound symbolic weight. In ancient times, the names of those who betrayed sacred trusts were literally chiseled from stone monuments, removed from history itself. Today's equivalent is the desperate attempt to scrub one's digital footprint when it becomes evidence of poor judgment and malicious intent. Your former friend attempted this modern form of self-erasure, hoping memory would fade as quickly as their content disappeared. Their retreat into silence speaks a language more powerful than their accusations ever did. Silence represents their final concession, the unavoidable surrender when confronting forces beyond their comprehension. They discovered too late that attacking the chosen triggers consequences beyond human calculation. The psychological impact of this public shame will reverberate through their consciousness long after the visible drama concludes. Something fundamental has shifted within them, a painful but necessary awakening to their own limitations. Some souls require devastating lessons before genuine growth becomes possible. Your former friend now enters this crucible of humbling realization. Throughout this ordeal, your restraint demonstrated more power than any retaliation could have achieved. Lesser beings immediately counterattack when challenged. The truly powerful understand the strength of strategic silence. You never lowered yourself to their frequency, never traded your altitude for the momentary satisfaction of engagement on their terms. This restraint wasn't weakness, it was tactical brilliance. By continuing your mission without visible distraction, you communicated volumes about your priorities and perspective. The contrast between their obsessive focus on destroying you and your continued creation despite them told the real story to all with wisdom to perceive it. Your power flows from source connection that transcends temporary battles. Revenge would have severed this connection, redirecting your energy from your purpose to their destruction. Such diversion would fulfill their ultimate goal, pulling you from your path into their drama. By refusing this bait, you demonstrated the very wisdom that distinguishes authentic leaders from reactionary personalities. Process your human emotions privately rather than performing them publicly. Feel everything: the initial shock of betrayal, the anger at injustice, the satisfaction of vindication, but filter these responses through your higher awareness before expressing them. This internal mastery separates spiritual aristocracy from common consciousness. Every attack against you serves as specialized training, developing specific spiritual muscles required for your next level of impact. This recent betrayal was no exception. It arrived precisely when you needed to strengthen particular aspects of your character and clarify certain relationships in your sphere. Consider what you've gained. Razor-sharp discernment that will prevent similar infiltrations in your inner circle. Emotional stamina that allows you to function at full capacity while under fire. Public proof of your unshakable commitment to your message regardless of opposition. These assets weren't bestowed freely. They were earned through this crucible of public challenge. The timing of this test wasn't arbitrary. It appeared when you developed sufficient strength to withstand it without breaking, yet early enough to prepare you for greater challenges ahead. Had it arrived earlier in your journey, it might have derailed you completely. Had it come later, the lesson would have served no preparatory purpose for your immediate future. The precision of its placement in your timeline reveals intelligent design behind what seemed like random attack. You've developed spiritual calluses, toughened areas that allow continued sensitivity without debilitating vulnerability. This balance between remaining open to genuine connection while protected against manipulative influence represents advanced spiritual development few achieve. Your former friend inadvertently contributed to this critical evolution in your leadership capacity. While this battle appeared personal, its impact extends far beyond the immediate participants. Countless silent observers absorbed crucial lessons through your experience. Some recognized patterns from their own lives. Others glimpsed the consequences of attacking authentic purpose. All witnessed the inevitable protection surrounding those who operate in integrity. Your dignified response during public attack created ripple effects you'll likely never fully trace. Someone watching silently decided against launching their own attack on another chosen one, having witnessed the consequences unfold. Someone else found courage to continue their mission despite opposition, seeing your steadfastness rewarded. These invisible impacts may exceed the measurable outcomes you can currently identify. Those considering similar tactics against other light bearers now face a powerful deterrent. Your experience serves as a warning beacon, demonstrating the futility and self-destructive nature of opposing those aligned with higher purpose. Without lifting a finger against your attacker, you've helped protect countless others from similar experiences. Your handling of this situation elevated your influence far beyond your previous reach. Observers who never engaged with your content directly still absorb the core message. Authentic power prevails without resorting to tactics of the desperate. This lesson penetrates consciousness at levels beyond intellectual understanding. The waves of this conflict rippled through your entire community, creating temporary confusion among those with limited perspective. Some wavered, uncertain who to believe. Others retreated to safe neutrality, unwilling to risk positioning themselves definitively. These responses revealed important information about the spiritual maturity of those in your orbit. Now begins the delicate work of community restoration. Not through desperate attempts to convince the uncertain, but through continued demonstration of the very qualities that attracted them initially. Those genuinely aligned with your purpose will return without prompting. Those requiring convincing would only represent conditional allegiance, a liability in future challenges. Demonstrate forgiveness without compromising boundaries. This advanced spiritual position allows healing without inviting repeated harm. Forgiveness doesn't mean restoring former access levels or relationship structures. It means releasing resentment while establishing clearer protection around your mission. This nuanced approach separates spiritual maturity from naive vulnerability. Reclaim spaces and conversations contaminated by controversy through consistent refocusing on mission rather than drama. Each time you redirect attention to purpose, rather than personalities, you purify the contaminated atmosphere created by conflict. This environmental cleansing happens gradually through persistent vision casting rather than defensive positioning. Use this opportunity to establish more robust community standards that protect authentic leadership without creating paranoid isolation. The strongest communities balance openness with discernment, welcome with watchfulness. The recent attack provides perfect context for implementing elevated expectations around how disagreement, critique, and conflict resolution should proceed within your sphere. While your primary focus remains your mission, understanding your former friend's current position offers valuable insight. They exist in self-imposed exile, a necessary space between the person they pretended to be and whoever they might become after this humbling. Their silence isn't solely about avoiding further embarrassment. It represents an existential crisis as they confront the consequences of their choices. Some who oppose the chosen eventually experience profound transformation through the very public failure of their attacks. The destruction of their false narrative creates space for authentic reconstruction. Others entrench further in bitterness, building alternative realities where they remain justified despite overwhelming evidence to the contrary. Which path your former friend chooses remains their sovereign decision. The door to redemption stays neither fully closed nor carelessly open. True restoration would require profound acknowledgement and systematic reconstruction of character, work few are willing to undertake after public failure. False reconciliation without this deep work would only enable future betrayal. Your boundaries around potential reconnection aren't punishment, they're wisdom born of experience. Their future development depends entirely on their capacity to face uncomfortable truth, rather than crafting comfortable fiction. Some souls use devastating humbling as launchpads for authentic growth. Others use identical circumstances to justify deeper commitment to deception, primarily self-deception. The same fire that refines gold destroys straw. This public vindication serves greater purpose than momentary satisfaction. It systematically clears obstacles from your path forward. Doubts that might have lingered in key relationships have been decisively resolved. Questions about your resilience under fire have been definitively answered. Concerns about your discernment have been thoroughly addressed. These clearances create unobstructed runway for your next phase of impact. Prepare for accelerated progress. When opposition fails this spectacularly, universal forces often release accumulated blessings previously held in reserve. Doors long closed suddenly open. Resources previously withheld suddenly flow. Connections, once blocked, suddenly activate. This phenomenon isn't coincidental, it's the natural consequence of passing tests designed to prove your readiness for greater responsibility. Your credibility now carries the additional weight of public vindication. Those who witness someone withstand targeted attack without compromising their integrity automatically assign heightened authority to that person's message. This increased influence brings proportional responsibility. Messages delivered from this elevated platform penetrate consciousness more deeply and spread more widely than before. The loyalty of those who remained steadfast through controversy deserves recognition and appropriate reward. These proven allies have demonstrated character qualities essential for your next expansion phase. Their discernment allowed them to see clearly when others became confused. Their courage enabled them to stand firmly when others retreated. These traits identify them as worthy of increased trust and position in your future endeavors. Chosen ones, what you've experienced fits precisely within ancient patterns repeated throughout history. Every vessel of significant truth faces opposition proportional to their potential impact. Every messenger carrying transformational wisdom attracts forces desperate to silence them before full delivery. Every light bearer draws both those seeking illumination and those preferring darkness remains undisturbed. The attempted destruction of your reputation, followed by your attacker's complete dissolution, isn't random drama, it's confirmation. The universe doesn't deploy such perfect justice for the insignificant. It doesn't orchestrate such flawless vindication for the ordinary. These experiences arrive exclusively for those carrying frequencies that threaten established systems and comfortable illusions. Consider the historical parallels. Throughout time, those selected to transmit evolutionary truth have faced nearly identical patterns of betrayal, public attack, and eventual vindication. Your experience places you within this lineage of consequential messengers, those whose impact justifies the attention of both supporting and opposing forces beyond physical perception. The silence of your former attacker isn't the end of this story. It's merely confirmation that you're proceeding precisely on your destined path. Continue forward with the quiet confidence that comes from unmistakable validation. Every attempt to diminish your light has only increased its visibility. Every effort to silence your message has only amplified its reach. Every strategy to isolate you has only confirmed your significance. You stand now, tested and proven, ready for responsibilities and opportunities previously unavailable. The coming phase of your journey will build directly upon the platform this controversy has established. What seemed designed for your destruction has become foundation for unprecedented elevation. Such perfect inversion of intended outcomes only occurs in the lives of those marked for extraordinary purpose. Remember this always. You were chosen because you possess the exact combination of gifts, perspective, and character required for specific work in this critical moment. Recent events haven't happened to you, they've happened for you, creating perfect conditions for your next evolutionary leap. Step confidently into this expanded capacity, knowing beyond doubt that when the chosen remain aligned with their purpose, nothing and no one can ultimately prevail against them.